Saludos, mi gente. Welcome to Con Candela Y Kavanah. It's Kavanah Angelique, and this is 30 Days, Day 6. I was just listening to a reel of a podcast that was interviewing the author David White, and he said something that just struck me so profoundly because it's just beautiful. And I may butcher it up, so you can go look it up. But he was talking about the idea of living to the point of weeping. And he was saying that weeping is possibly the closest we will get to humans, as humans, to enlightenment. And I thought, what? I'm like, wait, what? Okay, I want to listen to more. And he went on to describe the fact that, and again, I'm going to paraphrase, but that weeping, when you experience loss, grief, or whatever the emotion is that causes weeping, it is a moment when it's like your body has reached max capacity. And so it is expanding, right? That the emotion is so much, we can barely contain it. And that's what makes this experience something as close as to enlightenment as we're going to get, because to weep, to feel, to live feeling, and feeling so much that you get to a place that entirely moves you emotionally so that your body is reacting, is the closest we'll get. First of all, what holiness, what sacred beauty inside of these words, these such small containers for such large, such fantastical energy, just fantastical. And second, the quote, and I'm not going to remember who said it. He was quoting someone. Live to the point of tears. Now, I'm someone who has cried a lot. So the prospect of tears often at this point concerns me, because I'm like, I must have cried what my mother and my grandmother couldn't. And I think often that, I've had enough of that, enough of tears. And I recognize I've had good tears as well. You best believe it. If I'm going to allow the experience of pain, discomfort, to move me to overflow my edges, then I will do the same for joy. What is such a sweet reminder and a delectable way of engaging in life is to have felt fully. And despite my feelings about weeping, I recognize that I have felt fully. I could want to do a million things that I have not done, but if I was going tomorrow, of this I would be proud of. It is that I have fully felt my feelings as often as I reclaimed them. Because I think there's something in that. I think there's something, if you're a person who has always you've been circumspect with your emotions. And there's an edge of that that's like stoicism, and then there's an edge of it being like really, it can be a really toxic thing. And I want to recognize that sometimes the actual percentage to me would be minuscule comparatively. Sometimes you have to be able to account for the fact that it does, for the fact, for the fact that life would necessitate you prioritizing something else so that you're not engaging in the full range of emoting, of being alive, but you're using that resource in another direction. And therefore you have to understand that at some point we all have to come to the place where we are entirely undone of the particular emotion that would have caused the weeping. What I mean by that is that a lot of words for the idea that it's like a bounce check. You're going to, at some point, have to revisit that energy to release it. This is why people like survive whatever they survive. And then as time passes, they realize they actually need support in processing that, because you didn't quite actually integrate it. You've been sitting with this, but you put it on a shelf. And because you put it on a shelf, you froze a feeling that was meant to be felt and released, so that another one can come. And so having this as an understanding, that I have about this, right? Like for me, or I want to say a learning. I don't want to even call it an understanding, because I don't think it does justice to the relationship that you have to have with things, with wisdom, that requires a constant practice, like a yoga practice. You have to show up for it every time in order for the thing to really fully be integrated. And so what David White said was so striking to me, because it gave me the other piece of the information. And the other piece of the information is that the reason why I think feelings are important, right? And we emote them, and that things need to be witnessed, is because people can't let go of shit that hasn't been witnessed, because that we were built as communal beings. We continue to act like we are not interconnected and interrelated. We continue to act as if our daily life, our decisions have no impact on anyone else. We have believed a lie. If I don't know you, how you feel about yourself and how you feel about life matters, because how you engage the world around you that I may be in, I am going to be impacted by this. I'm going to directly be impacted by the day you decided not to confront some feelings you were having, and you didn't have an opportunity to emote them in the moment or when you needed to. So you go around emoting on everybody, right? It's why we call it being emotional, because you're constantly like, the energy is just flinging all over the place. It gets sloppy. It becomes unethical, right? And so for me, I was seeking a way to articulate the why this is worth it, why feeling. I started to teach anti-racism from this lens, because I'm like, okay, wait a minute. We're trying to get people to understand things from such an intellectual place of distance, right? And that's because I live in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. They're predominantly white. And so the people that I'm predominantly talking to are white people about why equity matters. It's weird. It's a weird world that we live in. It's really strange. But as I was engaging with the material, I came to realize that there's an aspect of this that it is entirely ignoring that we are all somatic beings, right? We're all body, we're all flesh, we're all blood, bone, spirit, whatever you want to call it. There's this weird thing that you have that an animus, whatever you want to, right? Whatever your belief system is, that turns you on as a human, that gives you the sensation of passion, a sensation of sorrow, fill in blank, right? So here you are, and I'm trying to get you to understand why your existence is impacting others in such a negative way. I'm trying to get you to understand the impact of it, the impact of your internalization, so that you can learn to treat me with equity. That is some crazy shit. And we're going to have this conversation via historical data, historical facts. I could care less whether you understand history or not. I could care less whether you understand history or not, because nothing is going to turn you into me so that you know my lived experience, so that you understand why I'm being impacted the way. No. What I need is for you to deal with your fucking feelings and to see the experience that you've had that has been horrendous, that has been painful, that has been oppressive, imprisoning, discouraging. Because when you're doing that and you're messing with that shit, you can't help but watch somebody else in that experience and be like, oof, I know that. I am not going to recreate that for another person. There are experiences where I'm like, ooh, that shit, ooh, that hurt. No. I don't want to be a part of that. So I had to shift to get us to the conversation, because in those trainings, they predominantly focus on making white people aware of the harm through historical facts, and the people of color, or whatever the oppressive system is that we're having a conversation about. So then the people who are actually experiencing the oppression, it is not enough to just experience it. Now you must come teach your oppressor why this is bad. Yeah, I no is the answer. Now, what I will do is have a conversation with everybody about the somatic aspect, about trauma in the body, about awareness, about village. Because if we start there, I don't have to go that far for what would be the correct response: compassion, empathy, all of those things. A willingness to reorganize the fucking world so that nobody needs to be sacrificed in order for someone else to have. So as I'm having this conversation about people needing to process their feelings so that we can change the fucking world, I'm also understanding that the myriad of emotions felt, all of the experiences that we go through, I'm less concerned about whether it's divine appointment or not that we go through an experience, or whether I wrote it in a fucking, past life or whatever fucking ever. Because you say whatever you want. I feel like we're intelligent enough that I don't think I would want to write this shit into, I would want to write this type of pain that I've experienced in my life into my storyline, just for what? I think we're a little bit smarter than that. But anyways, I digress because I need to, right? So here we are in this idea of recognizing that if to be with the entirety of my human experience, I cannot but want that for another human, and I cannot but want to protect that idea with everything I have. When I talk with my kids, or when I talk with folks about different things, when they're sharing their perspective to me, I try my best to be affirming even when I have a difference of opinion. Because what I'm attempting to do in that moment has, God knows, nothing to ever do with not wanting to ruffle anybody's feathers. I have been ruffled over and have no desire whatsoever to spare anyone such hideousness. You know what I mean? Like, it is not because I'm afraid of speaking my truth. When you are having the conversation with me about me, then I will speak my truth. Up until that moment, your experience, whatever it is, wherever it's at, however it's feeling, it is to me, the best form of support to help someone inside of the idea that your voice, your intuition, your thoughts, your experience is valid. This is why we witness each other. This is why we talk to each other. This is why we have people to confide in. The minute I take something outside of my body, outside of my mind, it belongs. I am no longer carrying the sole weight of it. And I've shared my humanity with someone else. And I've shared my experience with someone else. When we understand that as the bottom line, that the reason why we have all these relationships is because we're all witnessing each other living. And that if we don't have a witness to each other living, then we begin to ask questions and hyper isolate. And then this is how it all leads to death much quicker, a very unhappy and untimely death, because you have driven yourself mad. Whether you've experienced pain or whether you've experienced joy, you have gone mad because you haven't been able to share that with anybody. And to me, a life lived like that seems to be extremely painful. So the life that I want to support, the thing that I want to stand inside of, the place of living by the values of a world that we're trying to birth forward, is to start from the place of understanding that you are a divine spark. I have no question that you are a divine spark, and to me that is holy. And I may not like you, but I still think you're a divine spark, right? And that because that is holy, this thing that we're doing, all these conversations we're having are living inside of our own humanity. If we are affirmed in our own humanity, we will more likely than not be humane to each other. Right? But if you want to know what I think about something, what I have to say about something, like, you want to ask me what I think about it, and then I'll tell you what I think about it. No qualms. You want to ask me the questions, I'll tell you. If you want to know what I think about something you're doing, something you're saying, something you're experiencing, you want my opinion, you should ask for it. Otherwise, I am going to reflect to you what you are sharing with me about your existence, and I'm going to trust the higher plan in my mind. The higher plan that is, you are everything you need to be wise. You alone. You're sharing your world. Excuse me. You're sharing your life with the people, meaning we have the distinct honor of walking with each other as we are existing as a dynamic force of life. Right? So, excuse me, inside of anything that I'm teaching, inside of anything that I'm observing, that I'm engaging with, lives this particular principle. I'm like, I could have categories or topics or themes that I'm most familiar with and experience and all of that stuff. That's wonderful. It's beautiful. Right? But I'm not alone in this experience, and being witnessed is one of the most powerful things that I understand is healing at its root. And that most people don't experience enough of it to remember and re-engage in their own humanity. And that's why they become inhumane. And then we can have sexism. And then we can have ableism. And then we can have classism, right? We can have all of these things. because because a human is refusing to engage in their own humanity. Therefore, they cannot engage in mine. And when they're thinking about that equation, the sure thought is going to be, I have to think about me. But a human that's been witnessed, a human that has been in their full experience, can only but want others to have their full experience. Because you know the power of the emotion, grief, death, loss, difference. You know it. It hurt you. And you were able to say it hurt you. And because you were able to say it hurt you, and you had to look at others respond and say, oh, I see this hurts you, it changes the charge that has in your body and in the community at large. So I may meet you here as a grown person. And I was talking about that today with a dear friend. You know, I was a grown adult when I had a moment where I could go back for the child in my mother and affirm that little girl in her that had gone emaciated emotionally. The unthinkable. Here, I had all these thoughts about this woman, the woman before me. The particular perspective of the woman I could see, because you always think you know your parents. You don't know shit. You think you know. You think you know everything there is to know, and you think you're clever at it as well. And that's okay, right? Like, that's, again, part of an experience, right? But you don't. And the modicum of what I could see of this woman, the angle that she gave me, as an adult, it did not fucking matter that this was my mother. It did not fucking matter the complicated relationship I had with her. None of that fucking mattered to that moment where I had to hear my mother tell me the story of where her insecurity around being stupid. You know, if you're a Gen Xer, you know that I think that type of language ended with us, or maybe the generation after us, really, right? Where saying, what are you, stupid? It was part of the language, part of the culture. And my mom would display I'm only seeing the impact, right? The side effects of the impact. I'm not even seeing, I didn't even understand initially that there was a deep wound, that there was more to it than that, until I got older and I started feeling my full range of human emotions. Then I was able to humanize my mom completely. Then I was able to understand that in that moment, despite all the fucking psychological terms that everybody loves to spit around now, around shit, at that moment, I was someone supporting another human in acknowledging their experience. Because when she told me the story, then I understood. Then I'm like, oh, this makes sense. Well, I'm so sorry that was an experience for you. I had tears in my fucking eyes because she was a child with a concussed head. From there to the moment that I am having a conversation with this woman as she's experiencing chemotherapy, to understand where the root of my mother's insecurity was, like living in her body, living in her psyche, just in her mind, everywhere. That very moment, I got to step in and say, I'm so sorry that happened to you. I am so sorry. And tell her, as a grown woman, because I'm a grown-ass woman, Mom, you are one of the most brilliant people I know. Brilliant. You, listen, look at me. The woman that I am today, it's because of how fucking brilliant you are. Let me go further. I am able to do the work that I do, to teach the way I teach, to show up in the way that I show up in the world, with the hope and the faith of a new world for us all. Because I was taught by a woman who fucking loved learning, loved growing, was curious about the world, curious about humans, curious about God. Curious. Living in the shadow of something that said she was stupid because she had a concussion and wasn't able to retain things in her memory as easily for a long time. And then on top of that, used to suffer from migraines. I mean, bizarre. But here I am coming for this person. And in that moment and in that story, I was witnessing the girl. She was telling me her story. She was telling me how she got hit by a car, what grade she was in, and why she was going so fast. I was there with the little girl when she got up and when her mother decided not to take her to the hospital or any urgent care. You know why? I could sit here and be like, oh my God, my grandmother was, because they were brown women. She was a child. That story was going to end badly. Now, taking all of that into account, fast forward, in this moment, the little girl's telling me the story. The little girl tells me then how she endured and survived that. And that little girl needed to say that story out loud. That little girl needed to have this moment where a grown-up is being so gentle and safe. For her to say, these are the feelings that I had. And I've been carrying, the weight of them has nearly collapsed me because I've never felt like I was smart enough. And if you know my mother, and if you would have known my mother, you would have known that that is the last word the last phrase you would ever use to describe that woman. She was a balabusta. That's the Yiddish word for a badass homemaker. My mother listen, I will continue to sing her praises and show compassion to her shadows. That's the assignment. So when I'm talking about this idea of feeling the full range of your humanity, and because you do that, you heal you heal me, you heal all of us. To have the other piece of the puzzle, right? Feel all your feelings, that is your humanity, and that's how you and I will heal together. But we're going to go furthermore to the deeper understanding that when we have held pain individually, when we have held joy individually, and when we have held these things collectively, and we are crying at an experience in that moment, we are all expanding, and that is why it's worth it. That is why it is worth every fucking moment of all of these emotings and all of these, these transcendent, enlightened, gorgeous, God just burst forth inside of me moments are worth it. Because of the amount of vulnerability it requires to be in the fullness of your humanity, because it is to recognize that, are we enough? Oh, I don't know, maybe not. Are we infinite? Yes and no. I mean, to hold all what we seem to think of as contradictions, but what they really are the dynamic force of life. Man, tell me that's not worth it. Tell me that is not worth showing up for. I want to see whatever this thing is that we give it these really weird names, and that we have this constant need to quantify that thing is dynamically exploding inside of you and I every fucking time we have an emotion. That I don't know what I do not know what. I do not know what. I do not know what. It is not, and here is it is not, it is alive. This human experience, you're bursting that thing, the essence of the human soul, spirit, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, actually vibrates so fast that it explodes. I'm witnessing creation. I don't have to think about it. So to live to the point of tears, to be with the senses, the felt sensation of an active organism is so hot to me. It's so sexy. There are moments that I look at my body and I'm like, just I'm like, wow, veins, you can see the mapping system in my body, right? And I could have thoughts about that, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And I'm a curvy woman, so there are plenty of places where my skin has decided and said, listen, we got to make space. Do you and we have so many thoughts about that. Right? But do you understand how marvelous of an organism we are, that my body has these piping systems, where it runs blood through my entire being? Like, I have a leg, I have toes, I have bones that are connected by tissue. Like, I made inside of me. I made inside of me 2 humans. I mean, inside of me. And here's where, listen, we're going to go further. All right. I made 2 humans inside of me, and I had help. I needed help. I needed help, I needed help to do that. So a ball of dynamic energy of life force injected me with life force. And together we created a force of life. I'm going to cry my tears. I'm going to feel my feelings, even when I think they seem utterly ridiculous. Ridiculous to a part of my body that's like, a part of my body's like, oh, that, come on, what's that to the mind? What's that to what's that to frameworks and mechanics? Nothing. It is nothing. Yet you wouldn't have any of that if you did not have that life force. But yet you value the observation of a computer more than the experience in your body. And the computer is going to dish out to you, the stuff, it's like the fax machine. It's going to do the thing. It's going to say the facts, meaning literally, in a really neutral way. I'm looking at a mirror. I have curtains before me. I think they're curtains. At least all these things vibrated together enough to stay in the consistency of what I call a curtain that goes on the window. Like that to me is exquisite, right? Like it's mind-blowing. Okay, I'm going to do one further, and then I just wanted to leave you with these thoughts, right? Just one further. Love. Can we talk about that for a minute? That emotion, that sensation, that felt experience of connection with another human being. When I hold my granddaughter, I am immediately transported at when I used to hold my children. The immense amount of love I have for this child, I am exploding all the time whenever I'm with her or I think of her. Whenever I think of her, I explode inside. What in the holy physics world is this? In the quantum world, what is this thing that you and I vibrate at a frequency that causes us to explode simultaneously? And that creates connection. That merges us in some way for however long. And we are both changed by it. Our microbiome is changed. Everything is changed. Everything is changed in my body to become something other. What in the likelihood of us meeting to find the frequencies that are connective, to spend some time doing that, and to get to a place where that causes us to want to merge, to colonize each other, to leave something of each other in each other. Whoa. I don't know that my brain can handle all of that. Love. I fell in love. I am in love. But the truth of it is that you are love. And you found resonance. And that resonance turns all my planets into a delicious, delightful kaleidoscope of energies intermingling with yours and yours with mine. What is that? What? Like, I want to, to know, as we would say in the Torah, to know you, such is the frequency we are vibrating at. That I don't want to do that with everybody. I meet people that I'm like, there's not a mergy thought here. In that particular way, right? That texture, not a mergy thought here. Nothing. There's no spark. Oh, interesting use of that word, right? There's no spark. And then 2 minutes down the line, whatever you want to call it, I come across somebody and there's a spark. And that spark causes feelings and emotions that cause us to burst, to go off like fireworks, until those threads, right? Like if you imagine them to be the equivalent, of a tentacle or whatever, they merge with other ones. And when the transference of the amount of explosiveness has happened, then I know, bear with me, just bear with me. Then we feel relief from being on fire with enlightenment. Going back to what David White said. Weeping is the closest he thinks we can get to enlightenment because of the way it makes us vulnerable. It creates an undoneness. And that undoneness causes emotions and feeling, all of the things, right? Feelings that you emote, making you alive. I don't know. Live to the point of tears. This really sounds incredibly present and human to me in a way that I want to be kinky enough to want to know more and to ensure that I am remembering that I am constantly exploding. I'm constantly becoming undone. And that to me is beautiful. All right, I'm done. I'm done exploding with you. And I hope that this was an explosive moment that creates the change that reminds us that we're human and allows us to dance with each other powerfully. Until next time.